Today in Squad Busters, I'm going to be ranking every troop from worst to best. As you guys can see here on screen, we have the super tier list. And that's mainly because I'm going to be ranking all of these troops based on their super and ultra forms. And we're going to start off by putting troops in try avoid, such as Dr. T, because that's where he's going. Try avoid. So I just want to say there is no troop that is like under no circumstance you should never use it. But for the most part, you don't want to use Dr. T. He is very good in Angry Vines if there's like 10 players and you want that mega crab to protect you in middle. And he's also maybe all right if you're getting chased down and you want to pick a Dr. T for that extra bit of protection. But under 99% of circumstances, he's just not good. And the same goes for the Royale King. He's another troop you should try to avoid. If someone's chasing you down, you could pick him. In Angry Vines, you also could pick him. But under most other circumstances, he just isn't good. The next troop that we're going to put in try avoid is going to be Heavy. Now, Heavy, he starts off with 125 attack damage, and the longer he shoots, the more it goes up to. It goes up to 250 attack damage, which seems like a lot, but honestly, it takes so long to get there, and he also doesn't attack moving targets very well. Heavy just isn't really a good troop, and there's so many better alternatives, they should just try to avoid him. Now, for it's all right, I guess, these are troops where, they're fine. We're going to start off with Bo. I would say you should try to avoid Bo, and I do think Bo isn't that good. But honestly, Bo is just kind of all right. I would only really pick Bo if the other options were Dr. T and Heavy. Bo in that case would be pretty decent, but for the most part, not good, but Bo's all right. The only time where Bo is kind of fine-ish is in modifiers such as Loot Goblin Rush, or where there's a lot of things that you have to attack, mainly monsters. The next troop that's going to go in it's all right, I guess, is going to be Nita, because again, it's all right, I guess. It's not really that good. Bruce's bear does a lot of tanking, which can sometimes kind of be helpful, but at the same time, if somebody's smart, they're just going to walk behind the bear, take out your Nita, and well, then you're screwed. The last troop that's going to be in it's all right, I guess, which some of you guys might be surprised about, it's going to be the Witch, and I'll put the Witch at the top of it's all right, I guess. So the thing about the Witch is I know she does 230 attack damage, which means she isn't a terrible unit to start off with, but the thing is there's just so many better epics in the game that she's just not worth it. And now that splash damage is such a big thing that people seem to be using, well, those skeletons don't even do much unless someone's running a tank and an arch queen, and even in that case they'll go through those skeletons like crazy. Now moving to situational, and the troop that's going to go at the very top of situational is going to be Mortus. Now I want to make it very clear right now, Mortus, depending on the map, could either be pick equals win games or try and avoid. And that's why he goes in situational, because sometimes he's going to be amazing, such as the lava map, you get those mini peckers on your side, you are so going to do well. Or maybe the green world where you get all of those bowlers and those green goblin brawlers. But if you're on the ice map, well, what are you going to get? One guard every rare often, and most of the time you're just going to get those little skeletons. Mortus is not good in those maps. The next two troops to go in situational, we're going to do these at the same time. First of all, we're going to put the medic, and then second of all, we're going to put the Pam, and we're going to put the Pam just a bit above the medic. And the reason for this is because healers, you don't always need a healer. For example, on the lava map, I would suggest you get a healer because that map does so much damage to you. But there's actually so many troops in the game that either heal themselves or heal your squad for you. An example would be the trader heals your squad, or Primo heals himself when he does his little elbow attack. And another troop we're going to put in situational is actually Optimus Prime. And I know a lot of people might not agree with this. Optimus Prime, by the way, is a god troop to pick in the lava map because you're just going to constantly heal up when you take those bits of damage. But for the most part, there are so many better epics in the game. For example, you're mostly going to get an Optimus Prime in the final minute. And why pick him when you could just get a Barb King? I've played so many games where people have picked many Optimus Primes. I've decided to pick Archer Queens, Barbarian Kings, or Elita 1 instead. And I've ripped through their Optimus Primes and they just don't do any damage to me. Yes, it takes some time to kill an Optimus Prime, but at the same time, it doesn't do much damage. But it isn't a bad unit, and that's why it's in situational, because sometimes it's really good. Next up, we're going to put Penny in situational. A couple months ago, I would have put her in pick equals win games, but honestly, Penny's not as good as it used to be. Most of the time, Penny will be good in the final minute when you're going to get double loot from her mini treasure maps. But in the final minute, you can get so many coins and gems from like killing bosses or having a trader or just going to kill other players that, well, the Penny is just not going to be worth it anymore. Although Penny in the early game for an extra key can be pretty useful, and she does a lot of damage, so she's a pretty good early pick, and that's why she's situational. Next up in situational, we're going to have the Chicken. Now, if I did this tier list a couple months ago, Chicken would have been a solid pick, so up here, but today, situational. But that doesn't mean a Chicken is bad. If there's a Hog Rider in rotation, or you're going to rush blue boxes with like, I don't know, a Penny or a tank, don't pick a Chicken. You're going to get so much speed from blue boxes, and well, if you have the Hog Rider, you're going to get infinite speed that way. You don't need the Chicken. But if there's no Hog Rider in rotation and you don't really want to rush blue boxes, maybe pick a Chicken chicken. It's pretty good. And honestly, you can get a lot of kills early on with the chicken if you really get aggressive on players. The next troop in situational is going to be the archer. Now, the archer is a unit where if you can fuse it up, specifically get 2 fused archers, she can absolutely wipe out someone's squad, mainly with that arrow rain ability, at least if you have her upgraded to a super. But if you have an archer, it is so hard to fuse her up because she just dies so easily that she can be such a pain to have in your squad. So sometimes she's amazing. Sometimes, well, you might just want to go for some better units. Next up in situational, similar to the archer, we're going to be putting in Colt. In fact, we're going to put Colt a little bit above the archer. Colt is amazing in game modes such as Loot Goblin Rush. Pretty good to get those goblins. And honestly, if there aren't any other better troops to pick, which you'll see later in the video, Colt is a pretty solid pick, I would say. Sometimes he's going to be good, sometimes he's not. The only issue with Colt is he's just kind of weak, but he does pierce through units. That is his special ability, so he's sort of a splash damage unit. Next up in situational, and I'm going to put this at the top with the healers, is going to be El Primo. El Primo has sometimes just completely won me a game because that stun that he does when he pounces on players is just so good, and it can completely catch them off guard. Also, he's really tanky, but at the same time, there are a lot of other units that do so much more damage and stun so much better. The Miner's a perfect example of that, where El Primo, I feel like he's a good mediocre unit. Sometimes he's really good, sometimes he's not. And the last unit in situational is going to be the Goblin. And he's going to be at the very bottom of situational because he is borderline all right, I guess. So if there's no Greg or Mavis in your rotation and you're on the ice map, a Goblin is actually not a bad pick. Only if you have him at super, because you get those 15 coins for fusing him up. But for the most part, Goblin isn't that good, mainly because you're going to have to use a lot of rerolls to try fuse him up most of the time. But he can be really good, specifically in modes such as doppelgangers or double chests. It just gives you a bunch of coins, to be honest, and sometimes it's pretty helpful. Moving up to solid picks now. Every single troop that is now in the tier list is really good, and I would pick them if you see them. And we're going to start off with the Bandit, and the Bandit is going to go at the very top of solid picks. Now, I just want to say, if this video wasn't really rating supers and I was rating ultras more, I would put Bandit in pick equals win games. If you have an ultra Bandit, pick her, you will win your games. Getting 2 gems per Bandit in the final minute is OP. But for the sake of supers, I'm gonna put it in a solid pick because you only really get 1 gem for killing a boss. Now, you get 15 gems when you spawn in with a bandit, which by the way is amazing. And in the final minute, that's 30. But you also get those extra gems for killing monsters. And in the final minute, that really starts to add up. I've won so many games with using the bandit. Even when my bandit used to be a super form when I first unlocked her, she was still really, really good. Next up in solid picks at the very top again is gonna be the Barbarian. Now, I just want to say real quickly, if you have an ultimate Barbarian, so like 1% of you guys watching the video, the Barbarian at ultimate form is the best troop in the entire game. But we're going to stick here with a solid pick because not at ultimate form, he's just a solid unit. He does a lot of damage. If you can get your Barbarian elited, so having 2 in your squad, you're just going to rip through blue boxes in middle and monsters. He's a really solid unit to pick. It's just good. So the next troop to be a solid pick is going to be the Battle Healer. Now, the Battle Healer, you get 600 extra health on your entire squad if she's up at a super form. Now, this does stack. The more Battle Healers you have, the more extra health bonuses you're going to receive on all of your troops. But either way, Battle Healer is a great unit that you just can't go wrong with. Pick her, and you're just a lot harder to take out. Next up, we're going to have the other Transformer unit, Elita 1. Now, there's a lot of people who think Optimus Prime is better than Elita 1, and then there's a lot of people, better players, who think Elita 1 is better than Optimus Prime. And that's because Elita 1 is better than Optimus Prime. She does over 430 damage while holding down Turbo, because that's her special ability. Forget the fact that Turbo lasts 50% longer while having an Elita while attacking other players. She's just good for her damage alone. Now, she would be pick equals win games if she wasn't an epic, but because she's an epic, she's just a solid pick that I would suggest you pick. Next up, near the top, we're gonna have the Miner. Miner, I would say, is the most skill-based unit in the game. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. To be honest with you, a lot of people just don't know how to use Miner. His stun is broken. I actually have a free-to-play account called Broke Claz, and on that account, I'm actually underleveled below other players. And when I used to be really underleveled when Star Chess originally came out, the way I would kill players who were overleveled was with the Miner. You would run in, stun them, run away, run back in, stun them, do a bit of damage, run away, run back, run away, run back. The Miner is broken if you use it correctly. Next up, we have the Shelly. Not really much to say. She does a bit of stunning. She does a bit of splash. She's just a solid unit. Then we have Dynamite. Recently received a buff in the update. Before, I would have said he's situational. Now I I would say he's a solid pick. He just does a lot more damage now, and at the same time, well, his bombs land a lot quicker. We're also going to put Greg and Mavis at the same time, Mavis above Greg. These are just solid units that are going to give you a lot more coins to then get your squad a lot bigger, to then damage players, kill them, blah, 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 blah. Especially if you get these two with a trader, they are broken. Another solid pick is going to be the Wizard. You get 2 spells. A lot of people don't seem to like the Wizard or don't seem to know how good he is, but you can actually switch your spell slots with the Wizard if you tap on the second slot. The Wizard is good. I usually use him to put a bomb spell on someone and then another bomb spell on them, or I'll use it to hold a really good spell like the Rage or the Shrink, and then I'll just use the first slot to then maybe throw bombs on players. Another solid unit that I would suggest you use and that I'm going to put near the top of solid picks is going to be Max. Max just gives you incredible speed, and the most important thing in this game, apart from getting gems, is going to be speed. Chasing players down that you want to kill, or if you're running a farming comp, having speed to run away from players who are trying to kill you. Max is just good. Next up, we're going to put Jesse. Jesse spawns in with a turret, especially if you get that turret spell. 2 turrets. It is broken. Jesse does a lot of damage. She can 2-tap a box. Her turrets are amazing. What else do you want? Next up, we're going to have B. B's always a solid pick. You literally splash through players, and B is the only unit in the game which allows you to damage players while still moving. So you can chase players down and start taking out their troops. It is amazing. And the last solid pick in the game is going to be Leon. Now, Leon makes you go fully invisible now. That was the buff he received, and he does 320 attack damage, although it is split between 3 different bullets that he shoots. Leon, honestly, he's a solid unit. He's not going to win you a game, but if you can go invisible, you can really sneak attack somebody or stay out the way of maybe other players if you're running a farming comp. And talking about farming comps, the first troop to be in pick equals win games is going to be the Trader. And now every single troop I pick is going to be a top tier troop. Now, the reason the Trader is so good is because he's a healer. He literally heals you when you pick up gems. So you don't even need to pick other healers in the game because the Trader is already the best healer in the game. And also, if you get 1 or 2 or 3 fused traders, you're just going to get hundreds and hundreds of gems in the final minute, even without a Mavis or Greg. And the next troop to be in pick equals win games is going to be the Ice Wizard. Now, the Ice Wizard is a really good troop because when he does his Ice Fan ability, he will just go through people's squad. I'm sure you guys have seen some videos in the past where I have used an Ice Wizard and I have absolutely cooked squads, and at the same time, I have played games where I have been really OP and somebody has come in with one little fused Ice Wizard and boom, half of my squad has lost half of its health because the Ice Wizard is such a game changer. It just takes one lucky moment and boom, you're winning the fight. Next up in pick equals win games is going to be the tank. Now, the tank has so much health, does so much damage. Now, the only thing I don't like about the tank is you have to put her in a tank. Now, if somebody's taken the tank already, you might have to wait 30 seconds to a minute to try get another one, which can sometimes be a bit irritating, but for the most part, tank is amazing, and she actually works really well with the Archer Queen. One of the best combos in the game is Archer Queen and tank because your tank will shoot like crazy and you will rip through people's squads. And that is why the next troop to go into the tier list is going to be the Archer Queen right next to the tank. So the way that the Archer Queen works is any long range unit in your squad will shoot faster if you have an Archer Queen in your squad. And that's why the tank is so good, because if you have a bunch of Archer Queens in your squad, your tank will shoot at rapid fire because, well, the Archer Queen makes it so the tank shoots faster. All you need to know is tank and Archer Queen are such a good combo, and Archer Queen is just really good. The Expo spell is also really good if you have the Archer Queen at Ultra. Much better than a Jesse turret, much better than a cannon. A really good spell. The second best troop in the game is going to be the Barbarian King. Not the best, and that's mainly because it's at Ultra form where he's really, really good, and I assume most of you do not have an Ultra Barbarian King. But with that said, he will make it so any non-long range troops, so for example, Barbarians, El Primo, Goblins, they will attack faster if you have a Barbarian King in your squad. So yeah, the same thing that the Archer does to long range troops, the Barbarian King will do to melee troops. Also, he has an Iron Fist pummel ability, which is really good. It just stuns players and does quite a lot of damage as well. Now, the best troop in the entire game, I feel like you guys knew this was coming. It's gonna be the Hog Rider. The Hog Rider is the best troop in the entire game. So the Hog Rider will make it so you run faster. He will make it so your turbo lasts longer. He will make it so your turbo regenerates faster. He will make it so you can run on grass to get infinite turbo, and he'll make it so you attack even faster, aka do more damage if you have a Hog Rider. He has 5 benefits. I have single-handedly lost games because I haven't gotten a Hog Rider and other players have, meaning they've been able to run around at double the speed as me consistently, taking out more monsters, and then, well, if they want to attack me, they'll do a bunch more damage to me because I don't have a Hog Rider. This troop honestly is crazy, and it's very much deserved deserve to be in first place. Anyways, that's it. My first ever tier list. But yeah, let me know what you think of the tier list in the comments below. What would you move around? What do you think I may have underestimated or overestimated? Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out my last video. It's on screen right here. And use code Claz in the Squad Busters shop if you ever do buy anything.